is up to you. You can take a screenshot, all right? You can use your handphone or you can use print screen up to the student. But that will be shared only at the end of the session, all right? The end of the session. All right, so first thing first, we're going to do assignment one. We're going to look at assignment one. Before we start, you can keep a lot of water in front of you, plenty of water. If you need snack, you can have snack, but don't sleep during the session. All right, those are very important. If you got any questions, you write it down. We have a session for Q&A at the end. You write it down, or when I give you a certain interval, I'll ask you, is there any question? And when I ask you there's any question, at that point of time, you can bring in your question. But if in the process we have already explained the question, then of course you don't need to ask that particular question. So make sure you write down any question. So no point you put in the chat because I'm not going to see the chat. I'm on a full screen. So you can write down the question that you want to ask. Anything, you write it down in a piece of paper first. Okay, so I'll give an interval for you all to ask the question. Before we start, we need to look at the question first, assignment question. So people must understand the assignment question first. Before we do that, I think everyone must mute, right? And because there's some background noise, the assignment we are looking at is level 7 assignment. And this is a core module, right? This is a level 7 assignment. This is already indicated in the assignment paper, all right? Any dilution in the sense that if you're trying to answer below that level, obviously your marks will drop or will lead to a failure. So you need to answer according to the MBA requirement. All right, it is not a general requirement or undergraduate requirement. It is the MBA requirement. The undergraduate students' works are more easier, but this is an MBA requirement. It's stated clearly. Number 2, you can see the title of the assignment. The title is clearly stated. There's 2 parts in this assignment. Critical review of financial performance of listed companies, first part. The second assignment is financing merger and acquisition. This is the title. And the title is required for both answers. When you do the answers, all right, make sure you put in the title clearly. You are doing 2 assignments. Assignment 1 is 3,000 words. Assignment 2, another 3,000 words. So when they say 3,000 words, students are given allowances 10% up or down. So you can go up 10% or you go down 10%. In this classroom, I'll only teach you how to go up, no such thing as going down. The reason is simply because if you look at the word count, 3,300 is 10% up, 2,700 is 10% down. The differences in word count, we are looking at 600 word counts. The 600 word counts are equivalent to 12 paragraphs of answers. A student with 12 paragraphs of answer will obviously gain higher mark than students with less 12 paragraphs. All right, so you make sure you are in a competitive environment. We will take the maximum. But surprisingly, when I sit in the exam board of MBA undergraduates, we notice many students fail basically because of the word count and they never fulfill the requirement of the question. The failure is because of requirement of question. It's not the student is not aware. I just cannot comprehend that. The requirement of question is extremely important because that's the learning outcome. It'll be mentioned very clearly what is expected from you. In the event you are not sure, if you look at my guideline, it's very clearly translated what is required. And the guideline is prepared to get distinction mark. Anyone followed the guideline will get distinction mark. Anyone dilute from the given guideline, obviously you will get lower marks. So there's 2 portions you will see later. When you go into the question, you notice the question has certain elements highlighted. Critical evaluation, critically compare, strategic and operational issue, appropriate recommendation, justification. It is already inside the question. All right, and this is very important. But we notice most of the students, some of the students, what they do, they just regurgitate what they learn from the book, or they describe what they learn from the book. But the question requirement is critical evaluation, critically compare. All right, and they also says you need to differentiate between strategic and operational. The strategic is top management, operational lower level. It's very clearly telling you you need to look into both aspects. So you need to follow the requirement of the question. Okay. Even the second question, same. That's critical element, critical element. So I will be discussing this towards the end. So you need to wait for that. And that slide is not given. It's private and confidential. It's only for those who are present. You have to take note. In this question, you can see the mark allocation is there, but you don't need to worry about this because in the guideline, I've already translated. How do you get these marks? It's already translated there. So you don't need to read again and again and again how, what, no need to worry. Inside the assignment guideline, if you go through the guideline, I already put in exactly what you need to do. So I will not be going through this question again and again. Although it's written very clearly, it's highlighted here. You can see methods, problem. I'm not going to go through that. And you can see the mark allocation, serious mark allocation in this section. All right, because it's already translated into their guideline. Some of you sitting here, I know most of you are senior executives sitting here. And also we know you are planning to get high marks. And I think that's the only interest. So the entire class is focused on how to get the distinction mark. Distinction mark means to get 70 and above. Right? That's the requirement. And my lecture today will be focusing only how to get the 70. If any one of you are planning to get lower level of marks, it's okay, because 50 mark is passing mark, 60 is merit, marginal failure. The reason they call it marginal, collectively you can still pass based on what other subjects you have. They'll call it condonement. But I'm not going to focus on this. I'm only going to focus on 70 mark range. So if you want to dilute it, it's up to the student. All right? So when at 70 mark range, what is required from the student? Extensive range of credible literature. The literatures. Again, the literature must be books and journal. The journal you can access through student portal. If you're not very familiar, you can ask the student services, they will help you. Afterwards, I'll still show you how to access the journal. The journal must be peer-reviewed academic journal, and up-to-date last 5 years, and following Harvard referencing. Anyone not familiar with Harvard referencing, you can download the notes from the student portal. It clearly will tell you how to do the Harvard referencing. Otherwise, it must be book. Book including e-book. The book, physical book, hard copy, and e-book are same, treated same. So you don't worry about website, where do I get the website? No, it is same journal referencing. So same as referencing, Harvard referencing, both also will be using the same. Consistent, accurate referencing is important. If you make error, obviously you're going to lose mark on that area. Next, the requirement. Highly critical awareness of current problem. You have to be clear and aware of the current problem. Relevant to the industry. Relevant to the sector you've selected, not general problem. In the induction also I mentioned, don't talk about general, don't waste your time talking about Malaysian politics. No. All right, it has to be specific to the industry that you have selected, the current problem. Excellent critical evaluation, critic current research, all right, which means You can even criticize the theory. You can take one author criticizing the other author, which is two theories. That's why they put their current research. You can take theory one, which contradicts with theory two. So if you can compare and contrast, that's good because that's one of the requirements. All right. Propose innovative solution. So many of the executives sitting here, you are very creative. That's the beauty about part-time MBA students. Very creative. They have business knowledge. So they can give proposed innovative solutions. If they can do that, excellent. You need to write it down. So the next process is how to write it down. I will explain also. Can synthesize complex issues systematically, all right? And make strong persuasive argument, sophisticated judgment. You can have judgment, argument, but you need to put in writing nicely. You cannot be writing essay, all right? You cannot be writing a long story, flowery language. No, 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 that's not what we are requiring. This is a business language, all right? Your report writing. Advanced application of knowledge. Application, which means theory applied in practice. Theory applied in real world. Whether you like it or not, some of the theories I already put into the tutorial notes. If you know how to use it or not sure, you can read from the book. Even the book also I've mentioned where to get it. You apply that into the real context, automatically you're already fulfilling the requirement. All right? Because it's one of the requirement, application of theoretical knowledge. So you must have theory, but must be seeing from practical context. Identify complex problem and propose excellent solution. So you have a problem, don't leave the problem hanging. You need to put the problem and propose the solution. All right? And last is communication. So you need to write clearly, present clearly. The whole work must be professionally presented in a report format. Excellent. All right, then you submit. All right, that's it, how to get the first class range mark, which is 70. If you can get 70, 70 in all the subject, you are heading towards first class. Okay, if you are dropped to 60 level, of course, you will pass with merit. Okay, so it's extremely important. I will focus on 70. Before we start, I like to start with the end in mind. The end outcome of assignment 1 is this. You don't innovate, because I've seen thousands of MBA FAM students. This guideline is comprehensive. You follow this guideline, you will not go wrong. At least you will pass. So this guideline will tell you the first thing you need to do is executive summary. 50 words is enough. If you want, you can maneuver a bit. It's not carved on stone, you can maneuver, but that's around 50 words should be sufficient. But if it's not enough, you can increase it. It's okay, still can, acceptable. Introduction, profiling of the firm, 200 words. Introduce the company. In your case, you're going to introduce 2 companies, all right? And the background. It's about 200 words only. For 2 companies, 200, 100 words for each, because that's not the main story. Followed by industry analysis. The industry, what industry you have selected? Okay, it can be oil and gas industry, it can be rubber glove industry, all right, can be healthcare industry, all right, can be a consumer goods industry. What industry? We talk about the industry attractiveness. Of course, industry attractiveness, there are models to use to check industry attractiveness. I will show you later what is the thing we're going to do. Followed by environmental drivers, the pest drivers. Drivers means changes taking place in the environment. So you need to highlight the challenges, changes. The drivers means the changes, the challenges, recommendation to avoid threats. If there's any major threats, you need to give recommendation. What are the things we'll do? All right. Of course, number 5 is financial analysis. Company A. We will do a detailed analysis of company A in all 5 areas. 5 areas. The reason I highlight these 5 areas, I'm surprised to see students doing 4 areas, 3 areas. I'm actually very surprised. That's why repeatedly I will use the word 5. I'm surprised, and this is MBA student. All right? There's nothing wrong with the language, but I'm not sure what happened during the process. They will put there 3 areas. Anybody looking at your paper, they can see it is only incomplete work. All right? So when it's incomplete, you will lose marks. The question also says 5 area, and it's written 5 area here. Next, number 6 is interfirm comparison. So we will take company A, which is the main company, compare with company B, the second company as a competitor you have selected. The reason we are using this approach, the word limit is very limited. It's only 3003. So we will do selective analysis for company B. Selective. You're not going to do the whole thing. Selective means I'll still do the 5 areas, but limited ratio. I'll limit to 1 ratio only. All right, not the numbers. Sometimes people think the numbers are very important, very complex. You can even take secondary information, which means someone already calculated the ratio. You still can use it. So the point is not how good you are in calculation. We have so many people from doctors, engineers, so many people sitting there can get distinction. All right, people without any finance knowledge can get distinction because they understood one major principle. It's not the number. Number can easily get access. There are so many ways of getting the numbers. It's the interpretation. Not only the interpretation, your recommendation. Identifying the problem in terms of strategic, problem in terms of operational, what kind of resolution. There are many business executives, there are managers, they are not finance people, but they still can do a fantastic job. It's because they understood the question requirement. Number 7, critical argument and independent view. About 300 words is given. You have to have critical argument. Later in the class, I will show you sample. But that sample cannot be uploaded into the portal as a student's work. I will show you. One look at it, you should know what is the way and how you do it. But that's, you're not going to copy that, because when you copy, you're going to have plagiarism. It's just the techniques, how the student using. They are all my students. All right, I train them, you see how they do it. All right, and they all get distinction range marks. The scope of research. All right, we know 3,300 words is insufficient. So the students must highlight clearly exactly what additional factors to see. In 50 words, you tell me the work I need to further research on this area, this area, this area, this area, because you have given me limited word count. We are not going to complain to the examiners. No, no, no. We're going to state what additional factors to consider. And the total word count is 33. It is based on 10% increase. Sometimes students will come and tell me, sir, why are you talking about word count? I thought the quality is important. I will tell them, quantify the quality. We have so many Kiasu people sitting in this classroom. I don't care what race, religion, I'm not sure. But when we look at their results, every single individual are very competitive. It can be Malay, Chinese, Indian, or any race, foreigners, all are competitive. I've seen all. Okay, so I cannot generalize. Every one of them are very competitive. Okay, but what surprises me is only one thing. All right. For FAM, last semesters, not many failed, not many. Surprisingly, all are fantastic. They followed the guideline, okay, and all passed. The 1 or 2 failures, I'll explain to you why they failed. 1 or 2, very limited failures. And as I mentioned earlier, one reason is word count itself. The question says write 3,000 words. The student writing 2,400 words. Listen, I'm not joking. I'm not telling you lies. It's exactly 2004. Can you imagine you're supposed to write 3,300? This people are writing 2,000. One student even write 1,400. Right? You cannot blame them. I don't know. It's time management or work pressure. All right? I'm not sure what is the issue. But one thing for sure, you need to plan your work. If it's 3,300, it's 3,300. Follow the requirement. Don't dilute and bring it down to a lower range. That is the only reason they managed to fail. Other than that, there's no major cost. The second element you will see in this assignment, there are 2 checklists I've given for this assignment. Checklist 1 is just to pass. Anybody follow the blue checklist, you will pass. Checklist 2 is for scoring. Anyone who is planning to get high marks, you make sure you follow the checklist number 2. also, 1 and 2. Total checklist given is 21 checklist. All right. If you can check this and you can come up with the answer with all yes, 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 all right, I'm very certain you're not going to go wrong because this is through experience. All right. No books will give you this checklist. All right. I already summarized for you, but I only give you one checklist. I didn't give you checklist for assignment 2. There are reasons. If I give the checklist for assignment 2, the curve will change direction. Normal distribution, the curve will be like this. All right. Now, because we give a checklist, the curve will change direction. It will be skewed. But if I give two checklists, then there's another problem. Some of the innovative students will say, it's not good, man. You give me everything to all the students. All right. So question 2, I given a guideline, but without a checklist. Okay. So if you can see checklist 1, you can see roughly, you should know already what you expected in question 2. That is your creativity. So we're going to start with the question. I will not go through the question. As we are aware, every one of us are competitive. All right. And we must have an advantage because the target is the top 20%. I need to enter the top 20%. That's the only target. That's the only thing I'm going to teach you here. All right. How many of you making it is up to you. You need to decide. The top 20% is always different from the bottom 80%. Okay. In any organization, still the same. You go to any examination, still the same. The top 20% is different. So our focus is on the top 20%. There are several rules to follow. Rule number 1, we take responsibility to our work. All right, because the entire work is our work. We take pride in our work. And why I say we need to take pride in our work is because of this. Okay, this is a graduation photo. And I have a purpose in this classroom. All right, the only purpose I need to graduate. And when I go to any graduation, this is Westminster's graduation, you will see all happy people. Every one of them are smiling, 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 smiling. I always see this only, happy. All right, and I'm also one of the participants there. They're very happy, very joyful moment. All right, and because they have gone through hardship, right? There's no such thing as easy and you got it. All of them, everywhere with the family, everything will be there. But the only problem now we have pandemic problem. All right, so. But the joy, you know the joy. You have a purpose sitting in this classroom. All right. So we take the responsibility of our own learning, number 1. Number 2, we need to have an open mind and learn to grow. Obviously, we're going through a challenging period. These assignments are challenging. I didn't say it's easy assignment, but it can be done because it's very detailed guideline given. I just mentioned to you, non-finance people have done with distinction range. Remember this, non-finance. And finance people didn't get distinction. That's the funny thing. All right, don't think those with finance knowledge are going to get distinction. Only those who follow the guideline clearly got the distinction. All right, so it can be both. Normally the best part, the finance people, they think they know everything. All right, the best part, they won't even come for the tutorial session. All right, that is one of the reasons I don't give all the detail uploaded into the portal. Okay, and those who are learning, eager to learn, they will be learning and they get distinction. All right, and number 3, stay focused. Don't waste your time. All right, moving here, moving there. All right, stay focused on your work. Look at the slides clearly. If you have any question, write it down. All right, get some water and sit down there, write it down. You can ask me later. So the mark allocation is extremely important, but you don't need to worry. All right, you don't need to worry about all this because I've already translated what exactly you need to do. You follow the word count, you know exactly what to do. You actually been translated to get these marks. Okay, so follow the guideline. You don't need to worry about all this. When you do this assignment, number 1, the module cover page must be very clear. The cover page will state the module, all right, name, the total word count which you will see last at the end of your work. That's the total word count. It's about 5,000 words the student is using. But the body of the work is only 3,003. The balance could be referencing where they have appendix, they put in, all right, various charts, various tables. Tables are not included. It can be charts, tables that's not included, and the student very clearly put there, all right, all these are the balance of the word count. So you take this plus this is 5,005. So students very clear, very objective, and he already communicated to the people, all right, whoever checking this paper is communicated, because at the bottom is 5,005. So you need to be very objective. But as MBA students, some of them are very creative. It was a girl, a very creative girl. So what she did, she write in words, then she took a picture, paste it here with the same font. Picture of words written in another document. Paste it nicely, then continue writing with words and upload it to the portal. So when you take a picture and upload like this, you are bypassing the word count. This is considered cheating. And this was done by MBA student, part-time student. This is not allowed. If they find out, they will fail you. Okay, so don't do that. Don't do creative way of doing this, unfair. The reason they have a word count is to be fair to everybody. Everyone is using 3,003. You are using 7,000 words. Of course, you look better. When you look better, it doesn't mean you're going to get high marks. You have cheated the whole process. The process is only 3,000. Many students is only following 3,000. This student is using 7,000 words. And this student getting high marks is not fair to the other student. So that is why you need to have to maintain the word count. That's why they make it very clear. The word count must be fair so that we have comparable with other students, fairly done. They follow the rules. So everybody must follow the rules. And this is followed by assignment structure, all right, which table of content, list of figures, all right, list of charts. Figures means you can take pictures from the books, put inside there. You can put the title, figure 1, figure 2. You can draw a graph. We call it list of graphs or charts. And you must title it. What is your graph name? All right, graph name. What is that? This is current ratio graph. Okay, chart number 1, chart number 2. List of abbreviation. You write there Sindrian, Berhad, our companies all are Berhad. All right, there are many abbreviation you can use, so you can have a list of abbreviation. All right, and list of appendix. If you have more than one attachment to it, you can have that. Don't waste your time putting the annual report inside your assignment. No, we don't need the annual report. I already mentioned you don't need to support your work with the annual report. You photostat or copy or scan it, put inside there. Don't. You don't need to do that. This appendix can be your working, table of working. All right, we can have various types of working. You can use the template given by Dr. Harvinder. You can use the template given by myself. Any templates you can use. You can create your own template. All right, put inside that. That's you can see in the appendix. All right. So don't waste your time putting the annual report because it's going to show unrealistic numbers in terms of your word count. So we don't need that. And furthermore, it may be difficult to upload the file into the portal. The report format, again and again, the question requirement, the question clearly says report format. But the student writing essay, we cannot even see what is he writing. He's writing a long essay like a storybook. We are not writing story here. We are writing a report. Report means the report must have a title. As I mentioned earlier, the title is in the cover page itself. You can see the title. Number 2, table of content, list of charts, figures. You can have what are the list of charts and figures. Write down the number, chart 1, chart 2, chart 3, with the title. Chart 1 is current ratio chart. Chart 2, quick ratio. Chart 3, efficiency ratios. What are the charts? And you label it nicely. At least executive summary, about 50 words enough. Don't go 100 words, 50. Generally, they'll say 100, but I think 50 is sufficient. Introduction, the body must have heading and subheading. This one I'll show you example later. So you wait, I will show you towards the end. Those who need to go urgently, you have to go, but I will show only towards the end after I finish this class. Okay, followed by conclusion and reference. Reference, I put very clearly, you don't need to reference more than 17. 17 is enough. And from 17, 80% must be from books and journal, plus journal. 20% can use website. www, where I got my website, 20%. So 80% still books and journal. And the reason I'm telling you this is because looking at distinction range. The appendix annual report extract not required. Don't do it because we have seen student putting in. I'm not interested in the report. Next, the assignment 1 will have an introduction. In this introduction, you just write down, you're going to do a 5-year analysis. You can kickstart immediately. If you have selected the company, what company you have selected, you write down this company selected, what industry they are in. All right, it won't take long to explain this. And I put there 1 paragraph. My definition of 1 paragraph is 50 words. If anybody is still not clear, it's 50 words only. Okay, don't go more than 50 words to explain 1 paragraph, because we're very sensitive about word count. Profiling the selected firms, company A, company B, history, product market served, award achievements, leaders, all right, citations required, all right. Profiling the firm, if you noticed, and the last page, I put there, all right, 200 words. Introduction profiling, 200 words, which means we are looking at about 4 paragraphs only, around 4 paragraphs. If you can write 35 words, then you can increase the word paragraphs. Okay, so we are looking only at 4 paragraphs, all right? Maximum 4 paragraphs. So don't write long story on that, because I've seen that, all right? Students doing that, we don't want to move in that direction. Step number 1, industry. To do that, we will need to look at environment, the business environment. So we have an organization. So all of you will be selecting organizations. That's why they call it company A. I call it company A. That's your main company. Then followed by a competitor, company B. It's up to you. Many students, they select based on emotion. I like this company. I select the company based on marks. I need marks. I don't know what you do. I need marks. Marks means I need to have some arguments. I need to have some problems. All right. I need to write a story. All right. Bottom line, I need marks, because my objective is marks. There's no emotion in this. Next problem is, if the company is dying, even the businessman cannot do it, it's very difficult for me to go and tell them how to do. I will not take. Second clue I'm giving, I will not take this company because it's self-sabotaging my work. But if the company is moving this direction, I will take, because I got a lot of nice things to say. First requirement, the direction. Second requirement, I must have issues to discuss. But issue to discuss will give me marks. Don't ever think it's only the numbers. Numbers is only one element. I need to use it to make marks, to generate marks. So in advance, I've already planned. I'm not going to do what my emotion says. I will do how to get the highest mark in my assignment because I've planned in advance to get distinction range. If I take a company that is declining like this, let's say if it is AirAsia, God knows what they want to do. All right, I also don't know what to do for them. All right, honestly, I also don't know. I'm not going to say they're going to commit suicide, they're going to close down the company. I'm not going to waste my time on all that. It's also not my interest, because that's not the question requirement. The question already tell you very clearly, you give proposal. And your answer must cover two areas, strategic, operational. If the company already doing very well, I will give you more ideas to do more, better. And I will copy from the book. It's all in the book. You don't need to be born with all this knowledge. It's all in the book. The book is also given. Strategic book, you can see what are the things you can do. So it's easier for me to articulate the story. And it's easier for me to tell you how to improve further. All right, it's easy. So first thing first, when you select a company, you have to know the industry that you're going to select. You need to know the background. Okay, so we will see this first on company selection. So this is the general environmental issue. Under this area, we know our company is inside here, and we also know the environmental factors will affect the company. The environmental factors that I expected from the student is political, economic, social, and technology. The legal factor, we added into the political because this will be added into here because the laws are designed by politicians. All right, so we just combine it together. The general environment, we'll put it into the social environment, so it's okay. All right, so you just put PEST because of word count. The reason I'm doing all this is because of word count. So you need to maneuver accordingly. And when you write, you can read this in the book, but when you read and write, you know you're not going to get any marks. You're not going to get any marks. If you read the theory and write inside there, there's no marks. We are in level 7. Level 7 is not just copy from the book and put inside there. There's no such thing as magic. Very clearly, I'm telling you, there's no such thing. Okay? So what do you need to write? Before we go there, we know our period is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. If anybody got 20, make sure your competitor got 20. So 20, 20, 20. 20, both also must have 20. If you're not, the competitor is not having 20, then we'll stick to 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. This is the period. So when you write about this particular 5-year period, you need to know what are the changes that are taking place or the drivers that are changing in the industry. The changes in the industry in terms of political, economical, social, technology. All right, you need to know. Because this will affect the company. If you can see the picture, the company is here, the competitors are here, the environmental pressure will affect the company. All will affect the company. You can see companies going down, some companies are doing well, all this because of the environmental drivers. All right, don't be carried away because even this section got a word limit. You can see the word limit at the end, I put exactly what is the word limit. You need to follow the word limit. Just because you like it, you don't override in this section. As I mentioned, no emotion. I want marks. So when I talk about politics, I'll be talking about the GST, SST, implication on the industry. It can be tax laws, labor law, right? Labor minimum wage, affecting the cost structure of the industry. Cost structure. If you're a manufacturing company, fantastic, there's a lot of things to talk about. Cost structure will change if the labor cost is changing. That's why Top Glove all make a lot of noise, all right? Why is it the minimum wage is increasing? Because they've got thousands of workers. So when you have thousands of workers, even 100 ringgit makes a lot of differences in terms of overtime and everything. So think big. You're running a massive, big company. Obviously, that small number is still a very big number for the company. It's the changes in the cost structure. Okay, so this is what we expected from the student, to highlight the industry changes that are taking place, but make sure follow the word count and balance it. Okay? Balance. Don't override in any one section. So I'll give you some highlights. The economy. Malaysian economy is moving south. Of course, it's challenging period, not only for Malaysia. Many countries are going in the same direction, affected, seriously affected. All right. One of the main reasons affected is the global economy. All right. It's not just our economy. The Malaysian economy is down. World economy is down. The world economy, as you all know, mostly comprised of only three or four blocks. Number one, US bloc, the Eurozone bloc, China. If at all you want to talk about Japan. If any one of these people having problem, the whole world have problem. Right now, we can see the problem with China and US, trade tension, will create massive problems throughout the world. So it's just, we are not going to be happy with all this because that will affect the entire world. You can read everywhere, this is world economy, all right? So we can see the global economy is also going down. So don't be surprised Malaysian economy is down. Malaysian economy is down, obviously companies will be down. But then the funny thing is, the differential impact. Some industries negatively affected, some industries positively affected. So you need to identify what are the industries negatively, what are positively. The rubber glove industry is positively affected until to the point they are making super profit. Super profit means 5 times higher than the normal profit. So it's positively affected. So these drivers, environmental drivers, can affect positively or negatively at a differential rate depending on the industry you're talking about. The students who are specific can highlight these. Obviously, they can see exact nature of challenge the industry is facing. Okay? The social environment, pandemic, we have to have virtual class. In those days, we have physical class. All right, but now we are working from home. All right, health awareness is important. All right, COVID-19 is changing. I'm not going to give you many doctors also will be in this classroom. All right, what do you call hope, saying that pandemic's over next year? No, I'm not going to talk about that. All right, there's serious challenges. You can talk to any doctors and professionals in this field. We have serious challenges. Understand the challenges. If you know there's challenges, as you know, the assignment question asked you, what is your recommendation? Your recommendation is very simple. Change the way we do things. You cannot do the same thing, hoping for a different results. You have to change. Adapt to the new changes. All right. Don't hope next year no pandemic. No, don't do that. All right. That is virtually impossible. All right. So we must be logical. So we need to make certain changes to our business model. We'll talk about it shortly. Technological changes. Today we have robotic manufacturing, artificial intelligence, right, data analytics. When I go into Facebooks and I look at certain things, next day I go inside there, the fellow put the same thing which I was looking, all right, including Google, which means they've been studying about me, all right, so which means they study about the consumers, all right, what exactly the consumer want. You give it to them, what exactly they want, all right. Industry 4.0, automation, right? Internet of things, most of the things are connected, all right? Our machines are connected. We are connected through internet, all right? We may have to change the business model due to technological changes, due to current situation. You need to change the business model, all right? And unique selling proposition. The proposition also have to change. You cannot be doing the same thing, all right? I'm telling again, all right? You will see shortly what are the examples I'm giving. So when you talk about these changes, you need to put citation. This is very important to put the citation. Again, an MBA example. This is a full-time example. A fellow put 1940, before I was born. The citation is before 1940. And the citation appearing in pastel environment. Pastel environment must be up-to-date environmental factor. This fellow putting citation 1940. This is World War zone, man. All right? And I was not even born in this period. Cannot be. So make sure when you do a citation, 5 years. That's why I already gave you the 5-year range. If it's 19, you work backward 5 years. That's the range you're looking at. You don't go and put some other citation. I cannot believe. And the best part, all these are MBA students, not undergraduate students. Undergraduate students get serious bombardment, so they change fast, right? The next element, they will look at industry attractiveness. All right, so industry attractiveness, we have a model, but I'm not going to force students to do the model. It's called 5-Force model. This model is only relevant for those who have studied marketing or strategic management paper. They really want to use the model, but you must make sure you know how to use it, because the model is not an easy model, it's a complex model. If you don't want to do that, if you're not interested, it's okay. All right, no marks will be lost. What you do, you need to follow industry analysis. Under this section, what you do, you write down the future growth prospect. So when I write down future growth prospect, I need to have some form of research. Where exactly I learn? So it must be supported with graphs, charts, data, Department of Statistics, the World Bank. Where do I get this information? All right, about this industry. We are talking about Malaysian industry. You don't talk about some other country. This is Malaysian industry, because the question requirement is Bursa Malaysia. You are taking the companies from Bursa Malaysia. All right, it is a Malaysian requirement. So you make sure you study the industry. And in your word count section, I put exactly how many words to use. I think it's only 150 words. It's only 150 words to talk about attractiveness. So you can use charts, figures. You must show whether it's growing or going down, or what is happening in the industry. If there's challenges, all right, you write down the challenges clearly. Exactly what is your challenge? Put a title for your challenge. Don't say, I got a problem. What is your problem, man? I have a student who wrote the challenge. He said the challenge, his title is challenge. Exactly what is your challenge, man? High level of competition is a challenge. So you write down the challenge, high level of competition, or competitive rivalry in the industry. Very high level of competition. Title your problem. So when it's competitive environment, what do you do? I don't know what to do. All right? Because when you give me a problem, you must give a solution. So the problem now is competitive environment. What is your solution? Solution is simple, unique selling proposition. Increase your proposition, value innovation, give more value. So I have a problem, I have a solution. Now that will give marks. Mark straight away for the problem, mark for the solution, because that solution acceptable. Value proposition, value innovation. All right. You can see many companies increase value. We have companies like Honda, Malaysia, is one of the leading foreign car company in Malaysia. I'm not talking about luxury cars. The number one car is Honda here. Why is it people buy that? It's because of value proposition. They must have different value proposition. Mercedes-Benz, number one luxury brand. Why is it number one despite it's very expensive? Is Mercedes-Benz having problem? Is Mercedes-Benz having problem? When I ask this question, some of the students will say, yes, Mercedes-Benz. Excuse me, the rich are rich. Even during this challenging time, the rich are rich. And some people will say, reduce the selling price. No. You don't need to reduce the selling price. You should actually increase the selling price. The rich are rich. It's the brand. You like it, you need to pay for it. All right? So it's value proposition. And people buying Mercedes-Benz, they have no complaints. All right? After sales services, fantastic. The ratios have increased tremendously. All right? It's a value proposition. So you have a problem, write down the solution very clearly. What's the problem? What's the solution? All right, and that gives you mark, because it's an MBA requirement that you need to give independent view. You need to give specific problem and solution, innovative solution. And it has to be specific to your industry. Don't write general. It is the industry that you have selected. So that is why I said you need to check the industry. You need to check whether you have a story to write in the industry. But in the industry, is no disruption in the industry. Industry is fantastic. No disruption. Everything is normal. Then I got nothing to write. Or if there's no disruption, you must find the disruption. because disruption means problem. The problem, when you give solution, you get marks. Don't go and write there, I got no problem. No problem means no marks. Very simple. Okay? The key issues must be itemized, titled. Problem, recommendation, if any. If there's a problem, you make sure write down the problem. What is the problem? Write recommendation. If there's any arguments, you want to write any arguments, all right, you can write arguments. You want to give your independent view, write down independent view. When you give independent view, you justify it. Why is it? I'm telling you this. There must be a justification, all right? And the issues must be relevant. This is extremely important because we notice many times students will write, especially a full-time student, they will write their critical argument. Then I ask them, what is your argument? So you like the word argument. So I write critical, but there's no argument. When you see the word argument, argument means A versus B. But I don't see any argument. When there's no argument, there's no critical argument. It could be just a problem. Problem means just state it's a problem. Don't take a problem, put it as an argument. Argument means there must be two issues. All right? A versus B. But here, just a problem. If it's a problem, just state problem and give a solution. And if you're giving justification, if you want to support it with your research, you can even put a citation. All right? You can put a citation for it. So we do a quick recap of what we discussed and where we are. So we know we have to do executive summary. We have to do introduction, profiling, 200 words. Industry analysis, where we will check the industry attractiveness. Whether this industry attractiveness or not, dependent on growth, nature of competition, all right? Very competitive environment. Obviously, it is attractive, but it's very competitive, but it also can be growing. That's why it's very competitive. Everybody wants a market share. We have industry that is stable. There's no growth. For instance, telecommunication industry. Unless you break through in 5G, which I don't see at this point in time, which means it's more mature. Obviously, there's no growth. But is this industry attractive? Is there a future for this industry? Yes, there is. If you're not sure, you need to do research. There's potential increase in this area, all right? Vertical integration in this area, which I'll highlight later, all right? There's potential, but all the players are here. That's the sad thing. The main players are Maxis, DG, and Axiata, Celcom. Three players only. And they're struggling here, all right? That's the sad part of this industry. So every industry must know very clearly exactly what's happening. In the rubber glove industry is growing. Consumer good industry, like fast-moving consumer good, all right, growing because of population. All right, rubber glove, sudden boost, super profit level. Construction industry, that's why you can see some companies, they change direction, all right, because of the global economy. Every time the economy is down, the industry will be affected. So you need to write about the industry. It's about 150 words. Up to you, 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs, up to you. You write about pest drivers. Drivers means environmental changes affecting the industry, and it has to be specific, not general. Don't copy from the book. I've already given clear some of the drivers. You modify it accordingly and up to date it. All right, put it up to date information and put it into the assignment. Automatically you've done this section. All right, so you can see section 1, executive summary, section 2, introduction, industry analysis, pest, done. We are moving in financial analysis. When you do numbers will generate very low marks. What will generate marks? Reason for the movement, remedial action, in all 5 areas: challenges, recommendation, strategic, operational issue. So you just calculate the numbers, I put the numbers, you know you're not going to get the marks, number 1. Number 2, the numbers you can calculate the numbers, or you can copy from somewhere and put inside there. Which means you can even take it from secondary source and put. They are not going to penalize you because the numbers are not important. The explanation is more important. All right. So there are 2 sources of numbers. One is you compute. The second source, you can take it from secondary information, which means already published. You take it and put inside there. You just put a citation where you got these numbers. That's it. It's up to the students entirely what they want to do. All right. My suggestion, you do both. You do some calculation, some numbers, you go and take it from there and put it inside there. That's what I will normally do. Simple as that. Interfirm comparison, company A, company B. With only 5 ratios you're going to do. When you do interfirm comparison, A versus B, 5 areas: challenges, recommendations, strategic, operational. You have to write it down, which means there will be several titles. The word allocation for this section: company A 1004, company B, A and B is 600 words. Because we need to cover, we cannot leave it anything hanging. We don't want any examiners to pick it up, say that fellow never do this job. So you need to cover that area. All 5, 2 companies and 1 company. This is how we're going to use it. Unrealistic approach will be using 2 companies for all the ratios. And when you do that, the word count going to kill you and you're not going to complete many aspects of the assignment. Okay? So don't ever do that. This is designed, all right, thoroughly to get the distinction range. Okay, so now we go back to the analysis section. So financial analysis, my recommendation, profitability. I will do 2 ratio only. And 1 ratio or 2 ratio for expenses. Okay. This is already very clearly written. Liquidity, 2 ratio only. Efficiency, 2 ratio. Capital structure, 2 ratios. And stock market, 2 ratios. No more than 2 ratios required. You'll be wondering why is it 2 ratio? Because 2 ratios is enough for me to write long story. I can write a story about 2 ratios, almost 25 paragraph of answers. Only 2 ratios. All right, but that is for full-time students. You are not a full-time student. All right, profitability, liquidity, efficiency, capital structure, all right, and investors ratio. This is an example of a company. It's a top glove company. I've already put the example. The ratio explanation, detailed explanation, you can see in page 89 to 115 from this book. Anybody who's still not sure about the theory, you can read the book. But we know if you write theory, no marks. You know. But if you still don't know what is that, you can read. That's why it's written very clearly. Everything you see in this template is inside the book. If you see gross profit margin, open the book, there'll be a gross profit margin. Which page? 89 to 115. It's inside there. What is gross profit margin? Is explained inside the book. Okay? So we'll look at what is gross profit margin first. Then operating margin. So I put there 2 ratios. Gross profit margin, operating margin. But when we look at the annual report, we have gross profit is here. Operating margin is not here. There's no such thing as operating. Throughout this thing is not there. This is a manufacturing company. They have cost of sales. I'm very lucky to have cost of sales. You'll be wondering why is it there's not enough information here. This is extracted from annual report. The reason is there are multiple ways of presenting the information. It's up to the company which method they want to use. So you cannot force them, you must use this method, so I want that. No. So as a student, you choose what method that you prefer. But in this account, I can see very clearly revenue is there, cost of sales is there, gross profit is there, but there's no operating profit. But there's one item called PBT, profit before tax. That's enough. Whether they give you or not is not important. I need only 2 ratios. Okay, I only need 2 ratios. Now we go back to the ratio again, see. I put there gross profit. The second ratio is operating profit margin, which is not there. That's why I put the second thing. I put there all. PBT margin. Just take whatever given. You don't need to manipulate, don't calculate, don't ever do it. Take what is given. So when you're choosing the annual report, if the annual report do not have this information, let's say there's no cost of sale, don't take the annual report. So take an annual report that's a cost of sales. Because I need gross profit margin. There's gross profit margin, there's PBT margin, I've already done. Okay, and listen to the story here. I'm going to show you some example here. I'm not going to calculate because it will take a long time to calculate. But I'll illustrate. My gross profit margin, let's say I'm having 20%. My operating margin, I'm having 7%. Let's say 17%. Here is, we'll change this number. Here is 30%, 32%. All right, 17, 32. Here, let's say this is year 2019. This is year 2018. The margin here was 40%. And gross profit margin is net operating profit margin 16%. So we noticed the gross profit margin is going up. All right. Sorry, it's going down. The margin is going down. But this ratio is going up. One ratio is going down. The GP margin is going down because of competition. Serious competition in the industry. Selling price is affected. So the margin is going down. But the company's bottom line is going up. How can the company bottom line go up? There's only one issue. The only reason for it to go up is because of cost structure. That is why I asked the students to study selling and distribution cost, admin costs. It's up to you. If I was a student, I will take both costs. Distribution cost means marketing costs. Admin cost means staff salary, HRM cost. If I'm a student, I want to know what is your move on marketing? What is your move on HRM? If let's say the HRM cost declined because the profit is going up, HRM cost reduced from 9% drop to 5%, which means there must be some staff being terminated. Is it good to terminate staff? Is it good to terminate staff?
No.
Not always.
From what perspective we are talking about?
It depends on the situation.
Okay, so now you can
Reduce
see
overall cost of operation.
Yes, students can argue. All right, you can cut down, but you can argue. But it gives you a room for you to argue. Can you see that? And this is what I want to see. That's why the cost is important. All right, so we know there's something happening in this company. If they have terminated the staff, you have to identify, because it could be giving you various clues on a labor problem, cost inefficiency, or optimization, efficiency improvement, various reasons. And that gives you room for you to answer in the assignment. You'll be writing in the assignment exactly what was the reason for them to terminate the staff. On the other hand, if they reduce the marketing cost, let's say last year marketing cost is 12%, This year they reduce it to 5%. Is it good or not good? You can unmute and answer.
Depends on the revenue.
Yeah.
No. Guys, you cannot write the word depend. You cannot depends. You need to take a stand.
This one is for us to guess, or we have to actually read the report to find out the result, the actual
Okay,
result.
very good, very good. I'll come to the point. Okay. In general perspective, marketing, brand management is a strategic related cost. Anytime you bring down marketing cost or brand awareness cost, you have a point. You can argue. When you argue, that point is for you. Okay? So that is why, as a student, you need to identify the numbers. What is happening to the numbers? That's why when you calculate the numbers, the number by itself is useless. You need to know exactly what is happening in the numbers and what could be the reasons. So now, very good point. As one student highlighted, where do you get this information? Or we need to find out what is exactly, all right? Okay, we'll go to the point now. When you look at any annual report, the first thing the student must do is read the MDA report. And this report is a requirement of Bursa Malaysia. And inside this report, they will write down what happened to the company. All right? And because they know many people are not financially literate, and it's a Bursa Malaysia requirement that the company must explain what happened to the company. All right, so when you read this report, they will tell you what happened to the finance, all right, what happened in the environment, all right, how the company maneuvered. So it's a total requirement to all the students to read this. Anyone who's still weak in finance, don't worry, you read this. There's a lot of information inside this report. They will tell you what they've done, what they've rationalized, how the efficiency improvement, everything's written here, if there is.
Mr.
If
Francis,
not,
I have a question. Is
yeah.
this MDA also audited by the auditors?
It is part of the annual report, and auditors will be mainly focusing on the financial perspective, how they have presented the finance. This MDA is the management requirement. They have to produce and explain to the shareholders what actually happened to the
So if it's
stakeholders.
not presenting the true and fair view of the company, then, I mean, if they're not really honest in that MDA.
No, because the number is not represented there. It's only explanation of the numbers.
Okay.
What actually happened. All right? So that's important for student. Another possibility is,
Sir, why is it important for students?
why is it important? Hold on, I'll come to the point. Hold on, guys. All right, I'll come to the point. One moment first before I explain. The second source of information is the analyst report. You can read from the analyst report. Okay, how do we get this analyst report? All right, everyone can access to Bursa Malaysia. So enter the Bursa Malaysia. Market information, equity. Let's say I put here Top Glove. Okay, Top Glove Corporation. Okay, we have Top Glove. And you can see here company profile. You click this company profile. Scroll it down. You can see all these analyst report. They put there. Buy, hold. All right, there are many. So when you click this, the report can be downloaded Anybody not familiar with the industry can read and identify what's happening in the industry. Now, the next question is, why is it I need to know this? All right, that's what the question was asking. Why? When you analyze the numbers, when you calculate the numbers, there are a couple of things the students must do. Number one, they'll be writing the trend. Trend means it's going up, going down. If it's going down, why is it going down? If it's going up, why is it going up? So you need to write down the reason. You cannot guess the reason. I think no. The reasons are highlighted in the MDA report. That is why you need to read the MDA report. You need to write down problem. Because if you don't write down the problem, you cannot write down recommendation. Problems also you can see in the report. Problems you can see in the analyst report. All right, analyst report also will write down the problem. And the analyst sometimes will give the solution also. So the problem is inside there, solution also inside there, or what I need to do is paraphrase it and put it back into my work. Okay, that is the reason we have to read that. Okay, now I'll show you back. This is the analyst report of Maxis. And Maxis, the analyst telling to sell the company. They say don't hold. All right. So a very nasty remark by the analyst. Okay. Make sure we know your company is being observed, and he has given a sell indication. All right. When he says sell by Wilson Lu, he says sell. There must be a reason. Simply he won't say. So when he says sells, he tells exactly why. All right. The company have big future. There's a lot of future. Right? There's future here, 20 to 25 billion future in the ICT market. The only problem with this company, this is the first company who entered into the market, and but still sitting on it with poor performance. And the ICT market comprises of agricultural, government, logistic, manufacturing sector. All right. And solution given, the company must go into this section. The company must have strategic partnership with Cisco, all right, which is a global IT company. The company must improve headcount, all right, which means manpower, human capital. It's all inside here. What I need to do is copy. I don't need to be born with all this knowledge, man. It's all inside here. And the reason they're saying they're not doing well, is because of 1% growth. All right, it's also given, justification given. So this is why I said a student who has done the research and read and write a proper report will gain higher marks. So you need to write down the trend. Trend means whether it's moving up and down. The reasons for it to move up and down, you can read it in the MDA report. Generally, MDA will tell you exactly what happened. And sometimes they even tell you what they're going to do. Analyst report, specific report, an analyst will tell you exactly, are they satisfied with the company? Why they are not satisfied? Why they are satisfied, they will tell you. All right, so we have remedial action there, or we have problems, and we give recommendation. And if you're suspicious, you can put area of investigation. So sometimes I see when we calculate the ratios, we see alarming ratios. Let's say receivable days, account receivable. Receivable days is 45 days, 55 days, 75 days. Right? Do we see something in these numbers?
It's increasing.
Okay. But I see a different view. One is increasing. Secondly, I'm seeing it's not a round number. I don't see companies giving 45 days term. It's either 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. How can you have these numbers? It's not a round number, which means I need further information. What exactly your term? What exactly your term? Which means I can ask question. I can put an investigation area. This area must be investigated. What exactly your term? Is it 30 days or 60 days? If it is 30 days, why is it 45 days for you to collect the money? It means you are inefficient. So I pinpointed an area where there is inefficiency in receivable area. That's called area of investigation. The student is so curious, they can write down area of investigation and they can write down solution for it. All right. Another thing they notice is increasing inefficiency in account receivable area. Then they can write down what are the recommendations, how to improve it, intensify the collection efforts. Okay. So how do you do that? You can write recommendation. So the students are very clear on the numbers, all right, and they see beyond the numbers, the absolute numbers. You must see beyond the numbers to write down the reason, because that's going to give you marks. So we can go back here. In profitability, my recommendation is only 2 ratios. Take the easiest 2 ratios. If your annual report is not giving you the numbers, change the annual report that gives you the numbers. You must have GP ratio. You can have PBT ratios. OP not necessary. If you have, fantastic. Otherwise, 2 ratio only. Discuss on distribution and selling, which is the marketing related, extremely important for long term. And administrative staff, manpower, you saw just now Maxis, even the analyst is complaining, all right, they need manpower with the caliber to move forward in the ICT industry. The next 2 ratios which I recommend is liquidity ratios. This formula is simple. Take the current asset divided by current liability. All right, quick ratio, both ratios will test whether the company has the ability to pay. So I'm going to give you an example. If the company is having a liquidity 0.5, 0.4, 0.5, 0.3, 0.5 or 0.5, here 0.48, 48 or 4, 0.4. Is this company doing well? Don't use the word depends, man. Cannot use the word depends.
No, sir. It should be more than 1.
It should be more than 1. Any other answers? Is it good or not good?
It's not good because the assets are lesser than the liability.
Okay, now at the MBA level, the first thing we need to do, we are not going to say good or not good. We are not going to. We will embrace the numbers. The number which I quoted just now is for Nestle's Malaysia's number. All right. Nestle Malaysia is a leading company in the FMCG industry. The numbers are like that is because Nestle is using short-term finance to finance the asset. And the short-term finance is used is strategic collaboration between the partners, the suppliers. So the answer given is totally wrong. They have strategic collaboration. We are in modern business environment. We cannot do business on our own. We need collaborative working environment. We are working with our supplier. And those who can deal with Nestle are all very rich companies. They are willing to give the products and service 6 months. Take it, man. Don't pay later. Pay later. Pay 6 months later, so no problem. And they are all collaborating together, working together in a very tough, challenging business environment. So by simplifying and saying, no, it's not good, no, that's the first mistake the student did. Understand the liquidity ratios are now how you finance it, which means they're financing using short-term finance. And the short-term finance came from suppliers. Suppliers more than billion ringgit came from the supplier, and it's free. Money from the supplier is free of interest. Money from the bank, you have to pay interest. And the suppliers are willing to give this money to Nestle because Nestle is a 100-year-old company, more than 100 years leading in the industry, one of the massive player in the industry, all right, one of the leading firm in this Bursa Malaysia. I don't mind giving. So you have to know the ratio. So don't ever conclude the company is going to go down. You need to analyze the numbers. Exactly why short-term finance being used. Who is giving the short-term? If it's from the supplier, for all you know, it's strategic collaboration between the supplier and the manufacturer. It's a strategic collaboration. And the win-win benefit, which means they save interest, will be transferred to the consumers. The consumers will get more value-added product. And you can see every time you buy Nestle, more value. It's a win-win situation, winning from the supplier section to the company to the consumers. So every one of them are benefiting with a long-term view in mind. It's exactly this ratios for Nestle, unbelievable, billions of ringgit used to finance the company. All right. On the other side,
microcredit
yes.
credit? Is that like a microcredit scheme?
No. A microcredit, no.
Oh, okay.
No interest. It's written very clearly. It's a collaborative working environment. So you can read, you can check the annual report, you can see, you can learn a lot of things. Under the efficiency ratio, we will have two ratios enough if you can do two, all right, which means receivable, payable. Receivable means money from the debtors. Our customers must pay us money. Payables means pay to your suppliers. As I mentioned earlier, Nestle is having huge amount of money coming in from payables, all right, which is the supplier giving large amount of credit, all right, for Nestle Malaysia. Okay, so when they give such a large credit, you find that this ratio will be very different. All right, so these days, let's say you have 60 days, payable is 60 days. This is what we call matching. Fantastic. If you're having here 30 days, you're having 10 days, you receive money in 30 days, but you pay in 10 days. This is bad because every time you pay, all right, early, you're going to have negative bank balances, all right? But if you are getting receivable in 10 days, payable in 60 days, which means you take this money, which you receive, you can use it in business operation, plus your supplier give you 60 days. Fantastic negotiation. All right, this is what Nestle is doing. They get the money fast from the consumers. Suppliers are giving about 60 days. Fantastic arrangement. It's worth billions. In this money, if you take it from the bank, worth billions, you have to pay substantial, about 50 million interest you have to pay. All right, there's a lot of money you have to pay to the bank. So right now, Nestle is in a favorable condition is because of that. Of course, you can argue, sir, is the company having cash flow problem? Who's not having cash flow problem? Everybody's having problem. All right, the economic condition is very challenging. All right, alternatively, you can go to the bank and you can take a loan. Of course, you have to pay. Of course, you can ask me, sir, can I take it from the shareholder? Shareholder will not give you money free because the shareholder also wants return. When they give you money, they expect return from you. They expect dividend from you. So we are under serious pressure. So the best option is free money from the supplier. And Nestle is using billions from that. That's the best, simplest option. But when you do that, this ratio, all will be affected. So when you're doing this ratio, what is the reason? Why is it low? It is because of strategic collaboration and free money from the supplier. It's free money.
Mr. Francis,
Yes.
I have a quick question. Since
Yes.
Nestle suppliers are giving them, say, 6 months, up to 6 months credit facilities. So, and he has shorter period of time in terms of his collection of money from his own suppliers.
Yeah.
So, say he has a 30 days credit term for his own suppliers.
So
Then he has about 5 months for him to pay back
yeah.
to his suppliers, right?
Okay.
So, these 5 months, if he use the money to invest, for example, or
Okay.
to, and he gets some return out of it, is it ethical to do that?
Yeah, it's business. This is business.
Okay.
So all the businessmen are fully aware. There are so many businessmen sitting in the classroom. They know how to make money from money.
So that is allowable, yeah?
Yeah, this businessmen, all businessmen are like that. Businessmen, businesswomen sitting there, they know. Their objective is to make money. How do you do it, where do you do it, is up to you. But your objective is to make money.
Mr. Francis,
Yes?
I think this kind of credit facilities is practiced by most of the hypermarket, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to the next level. So you can argue, you can put suggestions. I am highlighting this because I want the answers to have that. All right, with a title, not simply writing embedded, no, with the title, exactly what is your finding. The gearing ratio, on the other hand, will tell you the level of borrowing, the extent of borrowing the company is using. It depends on the culture, it depends on the industry. In the past, Top Glove, no borrowing at all. Why no borrowing? It's the Chinese culture. They don't like to borrow. Today, Top Glove explored in many, many areas, including foreign currency loan. Because Bank Negara imposed condition. Bank Negara imposed condition that they must convert all the money into Malaysian ringgit. When they imposed condition, Top Glove had billions of ringgit, or billions of US loan, billions. All right, don't ask me why, because businessmen, they are very clever. They know how to move money here and there, and they needed a loan. Today, Bank Negara learn again, they have now control over foreign currency loan. So you cannot take foreign currency loan also without approval and the amount you can take. So all this because some big companies manipulating, or they're very clever and they know how to do what to do with the money. Okay? So now gearing level, under no circumstances the student going to tell me the company is going to commit suicide, the very high risk. Please don't go to the extreme. Tell me what you see. Don't go to the extreme. Because many businessmen, we notice, they have certain strategy. They have certain reasons. As I mentioned earlier about Nestle, they have their reason. All right. So you tell me the reason. Why is it the fellows are doing this? All right. If you can do that, it's fantastic. Instead, we take the obvious explanation saying, the company is going to have a gearing problem. But we notice the company is running for many years. Man. For Nestle, 100-year-old company. All right. So we have seen also, some of you sitting, are finance people sitting there. The numbers you see is actually what they want to report. It's a very crude way of saying. It's what they want to report. All right. In fact, some of the professors who explained to me, she said, she will take the annual report, put it under her leg and put the leg on top. And that's the value she is given. It's an audited report. All right. And the reason is what they want to report. Right. So you know the businessman, businesswoman, they have certain reasons, what they want to do, how they want to do, they got leeway to maneuver. So we see what we see, we explain that. All right. Don't go beyond that. No need to do assumptions. All right. Of course, you can give remedial action. You can tell me suggestions how to improve it. That you can do. All right. Because it's your view you can give. And the last area, another two ratios which is required is EPS, dividend payout. I put there very clearly, don't ever calculate this. This one, you can take it from the annual report itself. It will be there. Take it and put it, it's free marks. And EPS, earning per share, they will tell you whether the company is making money over the days, over the years, and it will be insane. All right, just take it and put it inside there. Dividend yield will be also inside the annual report, where you see 5-year analysis, 5-year financial performance is inside there. Take it and put it, all right? Or dividend growth rate will be there. Just put it inside there, explain. That's it. Don't need to calculate this. All right, there I put there yield, PE ratio, dividend payout ratio, all will be inside there. All right, just take the information and put, don't calculate, no extra mark given, even if you calculate.
Sir, I got one question.
Yes.
I got one annual report. The report director report say that no dividend given. So, should I take this report?
You can. If they have no dividend, but they still have EPS, they will have EPS.
Yes.
All right, and dividend is not there. There are PE ratios will be there. You can take from analyst report the PE ratio, or various other secondary sources PE ratios. You still can use.
PE ratio. You mean the sharing that they get from the sharing that they get from investor?
PE ratio is market price divided by EPS.
Oh, okay.
This one
Okay.
don't calculate. It'll be available secondary ratio, secondary
Oh.
data. You just Google it, or you go to the
Okay.
annual report. It'll be there.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks.
Alright.
Thank you, sir.
So the maximum number of ratios to be calculated is only 12. No more than 12. Because if you do anything more than that, it's difficult to explain. And how do we explain? Number one, trend movement. Trend movement, whether it's going up or going down, you write down the trend. That is one paragraph. One paragraph, normally 1 mark. Okay. Second, what do? You write down the reasons for the movement. Why is it moving up or down? Reason. Going up, going down, why? Where do you see this? MDA report. Mostly MDA report. Analyst report, can. So there are two main sources I'm highlighting. You need to read MDA. No lecturer can help you on this. If you don't read the report, no one can help you. No guesswork. It's inside the report, they'll write down what happened to the company. So you will know the reasons is inside there. You don't need to do any guesswork here. The remedial action. What action we can take? And this is where the theory comes in. You have to know the theoretical action, what you can do. Increase marketing cost. All right. Increase innovation. All right. All areas of investigation. You notice something not appropriate. Like what I highlighted just now. The number was not a round number. That means something wrong with the collection period. All right. Which means there's some inefficiency. Likewise, there could be any areas. You find that the HR, the human resource cost is going down, and the company not talking about it. You don't even see in the annual report. So of course I need to know what is happening in the HR area. Are you converting to robots? Top Glove using robots. All right. Automation. Is it good? Efficiency improvement. From the company perspective is good. All right. From the workers' perspective, they'll say no, but we are operating for the company. All right. You have to tell me that company is now using robotic manufacturing. That is why they streamline and reduce the workforce, increase the efficiency. All right. So you need to tell me exactly what. If the information is not given, of course you can say it's investigation area. I need to know this area before we can do a final conclusion on that. The two main sources of information I highlighted again, but I put in writing because I don't want people to come back and ask, where is it? Is the MDA report, chairman reports, CEO statement. It's inside the annual report. Every time you see the annual report, it'll be inside there. All right. MDA, chairman, CEO. Then the analyst report. You have to know. The recommended approach, key challenges must be identified, itemized. Recommendation must be itemized. Strategic and operational recommendation. Independent view. What is your view must be itemized. Justification must be given. Critical argument must be there. All right? All it must be in paragraphs. And the approach we're going to take is main company. You're going to have a detailed analysis, 1,400 words. 1,004 for the main company. The interfirm comparisons where we're going to compare A and B. A and B compared is only 600 words. So we have covered all. We have done comparison. We have done main company with a very detailed analysis. Okay, now we cannot wait. I'm going to show you an example. All right, this example you cannot simply copy. This is student's example. Okay, you copy and you get plagiarized, it's not my problem. All right, because I've been talking too long, I have to show you. This is the cover page, as I mentioned earlier. The cover page is very detailed. All right, he put the who's the lecturer and main body, how much. And if you look at the word count, 5,000 words. Okay, that's why he has given you the breakdown of the word count. So you have executive summary, all the detailed table of content, all fully numbered because it's a report. And you can see is the interfirm comparison coming in. Investors, demography, executive summary, introduction. Observe carefully the font size, font color, all right, is different from the main body. And if you can see here, we don't need long story on introduction. And I mentioned to you earlier, profiling the company, also no need long story on that. If we put a figure, this is a figure. The figure must have a title. Exactly what is your figure? Figure number. Extracted from where? All right, is very detailed. You can put that. So these are requirements when you move higher level. Even when you do a major project, that's a requirement. The company is being selected as Top Glove, and Harta Lega is the second company they have taken. It's not long story on the company. The industry, I talked about the industry. I said industry. When you talk about industry, we need to talk about attractiveness of the industry. So whatever you do, I need to know the attractiveness. So we can see here the pharmaceutical, all right, food, is telling the rubber glove industry. Okay, glove. Then it's not long, that's all. So, but he has facts and figures. There's facts, figures, numbers, charts, all there. This is the requirement I put there. You can see the fellow already putting all this. Pest environment. Again and again and again, you can see it's titled clearly, political drivers as per the requirement. It's talking about driver that is highlighted GST. This is the driver. And you're explaining this driver 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lines only. You don't need long story on the driver. Don't waste your time on that. There's only 4 lines. $33 words. Sorry, 57. 57 words. So about 50 words. Because he has identified argument, you want to write the argument. But when you write an argument, you must put a title. I have a separate slide for argument. That one I'll show you later. Okay? Argument. Critical argument. When you write a critical argument, you have to write a title exactly what is your argument. GST was 0 rated for pharmaceutical company. Medical inflation simultaneously increased. There is inflation, there's 0 rated industry. So there is his argument. So there's 2 issues that he's going to highlight. And this is what he is doing, all right? So the argument, you can see, you don't need to write a lot. Okay, total word count. 56. About 50 words, enough. You can finish the argument, all right? But don't leave it hanging. Don't put points inside here. No bullet points. These bullet points shows clearly poor quality work. Okay, so don't ever go into that. And another reason, important thing you must highlight is the title. Some of the students, they don't even know what title to write. Don't write, man. Don't write. Because you don't know what you're writing. I have many full-time students doing that. They don't even know what they're writing. If they cannot even put a title, it means they don't know what they're writing. All right, so don't waste your time with that. So you make sure you put the title exactly what is your point. Strategic recommendation. Because the question requirement is strategic and operational. So he is very clear. He wants to put strategic recommendation, can see with the title. Pioneer status, tax, which all of you know when the company is new, they will have pioneer status. That's why many companies close down Malaysia, open up another country. Because they go to another country, they have a pioneer status, means 0 tax for 5 years. Right? Then they bring out new technology into this country and they set up the company. All right, 5 years, 0 tax. Because they are living in a very competitive industry. So they needed the 0 tax rate. All right? Volatility in crude oil. It affects many industries. Crude oil affects many industries. All right, serious volatility in the crude oil. I won't say volatility. Crude oil is going through most difficult, challenging environment, all right, is always downtrend. The crude oil affects many industries in terms of cost, but many companies are having favorable situation, all right, because of crude oil. It was stagnant at 50 for a long time, dropped to negative level at one point of time because of Corona. It went up, but they're heading downward. The trend now is still down, all right? The current market price of crude oil is 39. But from here, outlook, we're not sure whether it's going to break and move down, but the line shows it's downtrend. This is a weekly chart. It's a downtrend. So the companies having positive impact of that, some companies, but companies in crude oil business are having not good favorable time because the break-even point is 10, US 10. If you are making at 39, you're not making enough profit. It's 10 USD for massive oil field. For marginal oil field is 50. So this is below the 50 range. But if it is a deep water drilling, massive oil field, 10. But 39 minus 10, you have only 29 to cover your costs, and you need to make money, and you need to give dividend to government. And Petronas still managed to give dividend, right, to government. So you can see here the impact of the industry, oil and gas industry. The oil and gas industry also affects the rubber industry. So it's taking one industry, affecting the other industry. This is what we call differential impact, which is also a requirement of PESTEL. You can put a differential impact of the industry to another industry, you can highlight that. Okay, so you must be very careful with what industry you're dealing with. Economic drivers, I've given some information. You can use that, or you want to maneuver, you want to add in more, up to the student. While talking about this, he still had an argument. He wants to put an argument. Availability of labor force, but minimum wage is increasing. The minimum wage increased to 1200, which means it is changing the operational cost of the company. The operational cost, okay? So this is what he's trying to highlight. So he's recommending, what is your recommendation if you want to control this cost? Automation, robotic manufacturing. And he's giving advice to the company. Top Glove is using automation. But of course, they have thousands of workers. At the same time, they use automation. Amazon is using highly automated environment. Amazon working environment is very nasty, all right? But then they have highly automated environment. If the workers don't want to work, they can automatically take away the workers and put a new machine there. They can replace, but they're still waiting. But they're working in a very challenging business environment, even the workers in Amazon, under serious pressure, okay? If there's any limitation, you write limitation, okay? The strengthening of dollar is a problem. Limitation is a problem for him, all right? Weakening of ringgit is another problem, okay? There's highlighting clearly. The independent view. Now he's going to talk about environment, social influence, okay? Talking about rubber. The competitive environment, I asked you to talk about the industry competitiveness. He's using a model. This is a theoretical model. This is 5-force model, which I told you, optional. Only those who have studied, you can write. Otherwise, don't bother. Even if you studied, if you cannot conclude whether the rivalry is high, medium, low, don't bother. Because when you do such a conclusion, you need to have supporting data. Where do you get this information? You need to have citation, all right? Where do you learn? So that is why I said when you talk about industry, either you do specific like this, which means the requirement is you must have a citation, or you just tell me growth rate, what's the growth rate, what is the prospect, where do you learn, where you cited, that is enough. To simplify, that's enough. Don't take this model. If you take this model, you have to change it to specific area. This is all rubber glove area. He's talking about all rubber glove. And not only they need to have it cited, and you need to write down exactly what is the conditions of the market, which is very challenging if you are a new student. Don't do this. This is only for strategic management students who have done it, then they can do. Otherwise, don't do this. Okay? Anyway, you're not going to lose any marks. You just maintain attractiveness using numbers, facts, figures, chart as per instruction given in the slides. He's using another model. This is for international market, diamond model. You don't need to do that. I didn't ask you to do. Now he comes to financial analysis. So this is very important. Check how they do it, financial analysis. The first analysis we'll look at is profitability. 5-year trend analysis. I already mentioned to you guys, all right, what is trend? Trend means whether it's going up or down. So you can see here, the company experienced 3.9% growth, GP margin 16%, took a hike. So you can see it's up and down, up and down. The whole thing is explaining trend, whether it's going up, going down, going up, going down, that's it. You can write in simple language, but must be grammatically correct. Okay, that's all. After you explain, convert your numbers into graphs. Change it into a graph. You can see here, he's explaining about trend. Now he's going into the details. He's going to show the graph. The graph contains the numbers, which year, all right, and the data are there. But I prefer one more thing. I prefer a table. You must put a table, explain the numbers in a table also. This is GP, which year, and what is the, the amount you're getting. Use a table also. So the 3 things you need to do for the graphs: explanation, graph, table. So let's see. He has done it also. Okay, as I'm going to show you. You can see here graph, table, then explanation. So it's graph, table, explanation. So you put the graph. This one picture, I can see everything. Then we have a table, then you explain. Okay, so when you prepare this graph, you must be very careful. Because I have students, we cannot believe how they think. This is what I call a bad example. So don't ever copy this. We don't know what is happening in this graph, man. Because he's a very creative student. Look at the way he has done the graph. I cannot believe from where he learned this graph, and you look at the graph. Now, this graph again, confusing. I don't even know what is this. Series 1, Series 2, Series 3. What series, what graph, we don't know. All right? This one looks like a bird, and you're calling an admin cost. Okay? So please don't ever draw this kind of graph. Okay? Make sure it's legitimate, it's prepared to see, people can see clearly, be creative, colorful, all right? No need to do black and white. Don't do black and white. You're not going to print this page. It will be submitted online. I think more or less you get the picture. You can see it's titled, subtitled very clearly. All right, all the ratios, they have very good, simple explanation. All right, follow the guideline given. I already put there what you must do. Graph, table, and followed by explanation. When you do recommendation, area of investigation, write down what is your title of your investigation. What is the title? So this title is overlap days, receivable days are questionable, uneven. All right, he's trying to tell me it's not a round number. That's what he's trying to say. It's not a round number. Okay. Strategic recommendation. So it's telling what the company must do on a strategic aspect. Okay. And he justifies act when he justify for a student to gain, especially undergraduate student, they need to have citation. Postgraduate student, if their justification is fantastic, you can write down the reasons and write the justification there. All right, this is for postgraduate. Undergraduate, they have to do a recommendation or justification with a citation. Okay, I think that's enough. That's a very detailed example. What is expected from the student? I've also put inside the slides. Okay, I put there graph, table, then you explain. That's why I put the sequence: graph, table, explain. When you explain, you need to put in, make sure you put in title, write down the title, exactly what's the reason, okay? Strategic challenges, strategic recommendation, all right? So your strategic, what do you mean by strategic? Diversification is a strategy. Merger and acquisition strategy. I'm giving you some example. If students are not aware, what is strategic? The growth strategy, divestment strategy, divestments, you take out some companies, you sell the companies, new product development, brand positioning, value innovation, capex, capital expenditure means buying new assets. Okay, it's all a strategic decision. Operational issues, efficiency improvement, business process improvement, elimination of non-value adding activities, all right? Operating expenditure, cost reduction strategy, profit improvement, all these are operational issues. Okay? So I've given you some example for those who are not aware. To gain maximum marks, student must use framework. Framework means you must go back to theory. And the theory must be applied in practical context. This word we saw in the assignment itself, application. So we have to use it. No choice. Don't complain. You have to use. Where do you learn? This is the only book. You don't need to read the book. Man. Please don't read. You zoom in what you want only. Because this is for strategic paper. We are not teaching strategy. You don't need to read the whole book. You zoom in which section. Let's say if I want to talk about strategy, what strategy I want to do. That's it. You copy from there. You learn. You learn from the book. The first thing we will see, business model. Traditional business model, sell the product. Modern business model, solution orientated. So we may have to think about our business model. We have to change. Today, I don't know how many of them are hoping the COVID environment will end. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Something wrong somewhere. If you're not sure, you can talk to the doctor sitting. All right. Please check. It's not that simple. Okay. So if that's the case, how do you alter this business model? Okay. Now we have serious companies like Lazada. We have Shopee. You can deliver, you order, you deliver. Sometimes I wait one week until I forget about the product also, the sending the product. But if we have companies like Amazon, next day delivery promise. You order, they will deliver. What is the difference? It's the business model. But when I compare Shopee and Lazada, I'm not here to criticize anybody, anything. We notice Lazada is very detailed in their work. They follow up, they very detailed. Okay? I can see some differences. And it is the reasons because of the business model. What is their value proposition? What kind of customers they're looking at, priority customers? I used to make a phone call, order pizza. Domino Pizza, I'll make a phone call. I have a special card. I don't know, I'll call it priority card. I call, I order, then I go and pick it up. But now I call, nobody picking up the phone. No one picking up the phone until I have to go to the center and collect order myself, which means I'm not even
they're all working from home.
Yeah. So they're not even taking my phone calls. So I'm not a priority customer. The 80% of customers are going for online. But I see very busy. All right. So they're not even interested in me because I think I'm the low end customers. And value proposition, those days they had a promise, they'll say 20 minutes to deliver. Now I'm going there half an hour, also still not ready. They don't bother about me. So they have changed the value proposition because they have heavy online orders. So they know where to focus. So only students will know, or the business people sitting here know, exactly how you maneuver the value proposition in your business model. Only you know. On the industry you have selected. If you can give me ideas on this, was fantastic strategic ideas. These are strategic ideas. How do you do? Do you have partnership? Just now we saw Maxis. The analyst was criticizing, and the analyst was clearly saying they must have strategic partnership with Cisco. That is a change in the business model. All right, key partnership. So you need to highlight this. So this is going to give you added value. So that's why I put here for students who wants high-end marks. Okay, you have to know this. Again, some of them will say you need to reposition yourself, and you may have to move. These all are marketing area, but then we still have to know, as a business people, we still have to know, are we going to concentrate on existing market? If we are planning to concentrate on existing market, it's called penetration. So we use marketing strategy to penetrate. What are the marketing strategies? Price, place, product, promotion. You can use that. Are we going to do new product development? That's up to you. It's all a strategic decision. Are we going to develop a new market? Are we entering into a new market during this time, pandemic time? Or are we going to diversify into new business? But one thing for sure, when you diversify, the risk level is going up. So when the risk level is going up, you write down the risk is going up. All right, you write it down and you explain what kind of risk, business risk. Okay, is it good to take risk or not good to take risk? You can unmute and answer.
It's good to take risk.
Good to take risk. Is it good or not good?
Good.
It's good, but must be a calculated risk.
Okay.
A calculated risk.
Okay, fantastic. We have all kinds of answers. That's what I want to know. I want to know, some people say good, some say no. Like me, I'll drive slowly, which means I'm not taking risk. All right, some will take risk. All right, as a businessman, most businessmen take risk. But to the extent of risk they're taking, it's up to them. All right, so now we're going to see. This company was having serious problem. All right. The industry is affected. This is Masing, seriously affected. All right, because of global economy, Malaysian economy, all affected. But they have option. You stay there and complain, or diversify. So Masing enters straight away into a super profit area. Super profit means rubber glove area. Rubber glove area is making 5 times profit. So now, this is a strategic decision they have made. Move into that, so you can see automatically the share price, which was collapsing to the lowest level at 30 cents, zoom, pick up. Of course, you can see it's down here as because of US election. US election, everybody is down. Entire market is being worried about US election. Okay, but you can see the directional change for Masing because he took the correct move, changing in year 21. They'll be ready with the rubber glove factory, okay, to supply the rubber glove. So that is a good news. Okay, so that is why I will say again and again, strategy is important. And you need to know this because you're going to put it into your assignment. That's mark. You saw even the student was doing that. Vertical integration, all right? Along the value chain, you can move forward, move backward to the source, forward to the customer. Source, for instance, Top Glove as a rubber glove company, a factory in Indonesia. All right, they have their own rubber plantation, okay, which means the backward integration. Forward integration, you can have distribution channel, distribution outlets, okay? So you can move forward, backward, it's up to you. These are all our strategic decisions, okay? And one thing for sure, every time you diversify, your performance level will go up until you reach this optimal level. After the optimal level, performance will go down because you're moving into unrelated area. We call it management confusion. When the management confused, it will go to downward. This is not me telling, this is from the book. This is theory. If you can prove this theory is wrong, it's critical argument. So you can argue the theory is wrong. I have an argument, theory says this, but I have an example of companies successfully diversified. That is a critical argument. So the critical argument, value added marks. Anybody giving critical argument, you get value added marks. Okay? Options for strategy, you take cost leadership, become the lowest cost manufacturer, or you differentiate yourself. This is in the book. If you want to know more, you need to read. Okay, because I'm not a strategic lecturer to teach all this. It's up to the student. Definitely, you don't go and take this cost focus. This is for small company. We are dealing with billion-dollar companies. So you only have two options. Either you cost leadership or differentiation. Two options only. If you're not good, don't go for differentiation. You have something called hybrid. Hybrid means I mix differentiation and low cost put together. Like what Camry is doing. Camry is not a very expensive car. At the same time, it's not a differentiated car like BMW, Mercedes. It's in the hybrid zone. And they're still doing fantastic job. Or Honda Accord is fantastic. Okay, they are in a hybrid zone. All right, so it doesn't mean you must take low. It doesn't mean you must take high. All right, you can be in the hybrid zone also and be very successful. How do you achieve efficiency? Volume. You large volume. So they operate 24 stop the factory 24 hours because of the volume. And when you increase the volume, automatically the cost will go down. Another way is product design, supply costs. Is the audio clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And experience. These are potential cost efficiencies in the book also. And they talk about efficiency level improving and unit cost is declining. Alternatively, a contemporary strategy is by Professor Chan Kim and Renee. All right, if you look at them, they come up with a blue ocean strategy. In blue ocean strategy, the professors are telling value innovation. You come up with value, which is no other company is giving. Value innovation. So when you give value, you find the breakthrough sales. We saw this in Honda HR-V, breakthrough sales, 6-month sales. And when Honda HR-V was released, there was no main competitors giving that kind of value. Breakthrough sales until 6-month waiting list. Okay, so this is called value innovation. In a most competitive environment, Honda HR-V was having 6-month sales, all right, volume, and they cannot even meet the demand, all right, it's because of value innovation. So you need to be very careful. You cannot say it's competitive only. It depends on your creativity. Can you come up with a value innovation model, which means you bring down the cost, increase the value, and consumers can see that. If you can do that, fantastic breakthrough in your sales. Okay, I think I need to finish this before we take a break. All right, let me finish. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Or shall, no, I think we finish this. No, otherwise it's going to be a delay, right? So I've given some example here, even Santan Food. Okay, you can see here. Business expansion, vertical integration. AirAsia is planning to open 100 Santan franchise. Okay, but this is a nice, good thing. They are very happy. You see, all the bosses are very happy, very, very happy. But I noticed two men not standing straight. One is this particular person. Another man also not straight. These two, all these people are straight, very happy. All are happy, happy. All right, the two person not straight. I'm not sure why. But even though they want to expand during this pandemic time, the share price is going down, heading south, which means the shareholders didn't buy the story. All right. Why? In a COVID environment, how you're going to make it by opening the restaurant? Do you think you're going to sit and dine in a COVID environment? Next year, still having COVID. All right, air-conditioned environment. It's a very challenging environment. So that's why the shareholders didn't buy the story. And they're not happy with the performance. Okay. Top Glove, on the other hand, is in a super profit area. Because they are in a super profit area, they do everything. They're fantastic. Listing in Hong Kong market. Listed in Malaysia, Bursa Malaysia, listed in Singapore market, SGX, and listed going for listing in Hong Kong to raise 1 billion to expand the company. So you can see when you're in the right environment, you move forward to grow, continuous growth. This is growth. The reason they need this money for growth and expansion. At the same time, the company managed to give bonus. All right. The share price was 20 over ringgit until they have to give free shares to bring down the share price so that it's still in a tradable condition. All right. Fantastic. However, the company has negative publicity in terms of exploiting the workers. And this is important for your assignment because anytime there's a negative, there's critical argument. While you're doing fantastic work, you have negative situation. Or you can say they have problem. And how do you overcome the problem? If you give suggestion, that's going to give you marks. So we have completed all 5 areas. This is a 15-mark area, except we have intercompany comparison. Few minutes, just wait for a few minutes, guys. Mute, all right? All right, just mute for a while. All right, let me finish, then I'll give you 15 minutes break. I will give you only 15 minutes break. So the inter-firm comparison, as I mentioned earlier, you take 5 ratio, 1 profit ratio, 1 liquidity ratio, 1 efficiency ratio, 1 capital structure, 1 what do you call investors. Enough, you do a simple explanation. Within 600 words, you finish. To cover that, you have done that. Okay, and this is an example I've given. And to wrap up, we have completed the entire assignment. 50 for your executive summary, introduction 200, industry attractiveness 150, pastel 550, company analysis 14, interfirm 600, critical argument, independent view is a must for those of you planning to score, and scope for further research. Okay, you need to write down what are the areas that you want to do to have a comprehensive research. That is show the students' creativity. Okay, so it's up to you. I have some example here, but you can do further. And this checklist, 2-part checklist. First part, blue, is just to pass. Anybody who follow this, you'll pass. Second checklist is for those who are serious. If you see serious, you can see there's critical argument. You can see the numbers. I've even put the numbers. I think I mentioned earlier, quantify the quality. You cannot say it's quantitative subject or qualitative subjects. Quantify the quality. Even in your writing, I expect this with the title. Title. If you cannot reach that level, doesn't matter. Don't worry. Still, you can submit the work. It's just marked accordingly. All right. Critical evaluation is the second half. I'm not going to cover now. Okay, so we have covered all. We will take a 15 minutes break. Now is 11:08. Right, we're 11:08. Okay, we'll start at 11:25. Okay, 11:25, 15 minutes break. I will start exactly 11:25. Okay, guys, I will take a break. All right,
Okay.
bye. Bye.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thanks.